Hey friends, welcome back to Nico Likes to Talk, conversation podcast where I do the one thing some people tell me I do a lot, is just talk. And today, I thought it'd be fun just to do a solo convo outside, skating on the trail. I got this Insta360 X4. I'm using a Hollyland lavalier mic, and I tested it out. It sounds pretty good. It's not too windy, but I thought it'd be fun to get on here for a few minutes just to chat. I had some time this morning to really get a good session in. It's not too windy, beautiful morning. Just to give quick updates. Yeah, it's been a minute, but been a little busy with some other things. But I'm here. A lot of cool stuff has been happening, just in general. So excited to talk about that a little later, but hey. Right now I'm skating on the Sanford Riverwalk. It's a pretty smooth trail. Has some bumps here and there, but for the most part it's pretty dope. You know. And so friend, what's your name? So what's going on? Honestly, I was listening to the Sinners soundtrack. I saw the movie last weekend, and it was pretty dope. It was amazing, honestly. And it literally just got me excited because this is how we're kicking off the spring, summer movie season. I'm here for it. I mean, I've always loved good vampire stories. I've always loved good just stories in general, stories with some good music. And I didn't really watch any trailers for it. Like, I saw like the first one a while back, but then kind of forgot about it. And the next thing you know, the movie's here. And talk about when you're watching a movie like that and you're just like lifted in the theater. Can I be honest? I haven't felt that way in a minute watching a movie in the theater. And I want to see it again in IMAX. Honestly, it was like that Avengers Infinity War Endgame energy in the theater. I mean, just where it's like it almost not like a concert, but like I can just, the energy of it is just amazing. I mean, the performances, the act, the sets, I mean, all of it. I just think we need to just give creators the freedom to do that on these scales and just tell a good story. And God bless Ryan Coogler, you know what I mean? God bless him. That's like, he's on a generational run. And I think this is his best. And it's like every movie, it's just your best. I mean, just every movie you just just top yourself. And it's like, it's not easy to do, but man, I'm just so excited to see the future. I would definitely watch a sequel to that. But if there isn't no sequel, then so be it. Like, let the characters rest in our minds and let the story continue on in our imaginations. You know, let fan fiction on the internet commence. But you know, another movie I'm excited for is Superman. I saw the trailer, you know, and I wasn't one of these people that was skeptical for it. You know, I think Superman is due for another interpretation on the big screen. I'm not one of these people that like get hung up on who's casted or whatever. I just want to see a good story. And this Superman movie, James Gunn, looks like it's going to be a good story. I mean, that's another creator, writer, director that knows storytelling. They just get it. And they're not afraid to hit familiar beats. Where like, okay, you look at Sinners, the story is innovative in its presentation, but like the themes are universal. It's just how it's packaged, and it's packaged well. I mean, it's a really good steak dinner at a really good restaurant, and you can eat it over and over again and not get bored because like it's good, but it's steak. You know, you can make steak so many ways, but it's the reputation of the restaurant, the atmosphere, the seating, the lighting, it all matters. But you go to eat a steak at Outback, yeah, it's steak, but it's not the same. And that's how I feel about, you know, good storytellers. Like, everyone's hitting Joseph Campbell's archetypes. We're all going through the same thing. Like the first Star Wars, any story circle, beginning, middle, end. You have your protagonists, they want something, they need to go get it. They enter another world, they leave that world changed. I mean, literally you can watch Sinners and it's that same beats, but it works well and it's familiar. And Sinners just proves sometimes when you just stick to the basics of storytelling and combine that with good performances and good direction, there you go. I mean, we've seen vampire stories before. We've seen stories set in the South before. We've seen stories incorporated with music before. We've seen stories with actors playing the same person before. It's not new. Even we've seen variations of that, but it's the attention to detail, the love, the craft, all of it. It just blends together. And so when I'm looking at the Superman trailer from a director who's looks like they're really directing with all heart, and it just shines through. And I bet you this new Superman, David Cornsweet, he's gonna go on his generational run too, because I think the movie's just gonna hit people in the feels, make people truly believe a man could fly again, and just do its own thing. I mean, I'm excited for Superman to dive into the mythology even more, tackle some of those cartoon elements, those comic book elements, not try to ground it so much in realism, but so much escapism. Like, oh yeah, this Superman has a super dog named Crypto. Hey, he smiles. Hey, his suit's colorful. Hey, look, he can be stoic and still have emotion. And the one thing that I believe people often forget about Superman, especially they forget that Superman may be an alien, but he was raised in Kansas. He was raised like a human being. He was raised by kindly people and who taught him the value of life. And he just so happens to have ungodly powers, but he's a dude who's like, he cared about prom at one point. He cared about certain aspects of human life. You know, he was a chill guy who happens to also be Superman. He's also a goofball. He's a dork, but not like a Peter Parker dork. He's just like, he just grew up a regular kid. Now, some writers try to interpret that to make him feel like isolated. Now, granted, yeah, some kids, a lot of kids can feel isolated, but that's not all they are. You know, that's just one aspect of his life. I mean, that's why they lean into his friend Pete and Lana in Smallville. Like, he had a crew. He had people he could talk to. And then when he gets to the Fortress of Solitude, he has his dad. He has the history. I mean, he was a kid, a regular in his mind. You know, he knew he was different. Depending on the writer, they say, okay, his parents showed him he was an alien at 18, or they've always told him. I mean, it really depends. And the basis of Superman is alien orphan, kindly couple, champion of truth and justice. 3 pillars. And those deviations create a different Superman. Now, I thought Henry Cavill's Superman was pretty cool too, but I don't think he got his due. That's a tale as old as time. Everybody knows it. But what I think is that franchise was trying to make Superman into Batman to give him more edge and angst, where the character doesn't necessarily need to be reinvented. That's why you have Homelander and Omni-Man and all these other Superman quote-unquote clones of people would fly and could shoot lasers out of their eyes. That's what that's for. And we've watched stories with Superman feeling, you know, anxious and things like that. So that's sort of the energy I'm on with Superman. Like, it needs to be universal. So, to me, that's what Superman can be. A universal character that inspires all of us to be better. And in the last, 10, 12 years, one character embodies everything Superman can be on screen that people resonate with, that if all of us were betting people, no one would ever consider this character to be the Superman anagram for our modern time. And that's Captain America in the MCU. How he was portrayed on screen is almost exactly how we want Superman to be portrayed on screen. A character who does what's right, even when the odds are against him. Yes, he can be stubborn. Yes, he has emotional depth, and he can get angry. But the point is, here's a character who's wearing red, white, and blue, and that the audiences latch on to because we see him as a person. He was a good person before he had the super serum. Superman was raised as a good person before he knew he had to become, quote unquote, Superman. And that's the human aspect that the directors, James Gunn, I believe he's going to lean into. So when I see the trailers for Superman, I'm excited, because we've had a decade plus of Captain America showing the world what it means to stand up for what's right. Not necessarily truth, justice in the American way, truth, justice in a good human way. And when I watch Captain America wield Mjolnir, and that he is worthy, it gives me such Superman vibes, because Superman is worthy. One of my favorite scenes in Superman media is honestly a deleted scene from the TV version of Superman the movie. It's Christopher Reeve. And in the TV version, he's talking to Jor-El, I think after his first night or time as Superman, where he revealed himself to the world. And, you know, Superman's talking about how excited he is about what he was doing, about contemplating revealing himself to Lois, and, you know, why bother with the secret identity thing? And Jor-El tells him, like, son, I know you're pretty much excited, but you can't be Superman 28 hours a day. And then Superman corrects him and says 24 on Earth time. And it's some cheeky little scene. But Jor-El elaborates. He says, you can't be their savior 24 hours a day. It would be endless. There are times when you need to go home, relax, enjoy yourself as Clark Kent. Because if you're out there saving the day 24/7, it'll burn you out. Not only burn you out, it could make you jaded of how quote unquote helpless humanity is. So I love that scene, and it sucks it's in the TV version that I think it would have done a good service to have it in the theatrical version where everyone could see it. Because I've seen multiple versions of that movie, especially with the box set, and just I thought it was my favorite superhero movies growing up. But what is lovely about it is it just really shows that like sometimes you definitely need a secret identity. You can't do this 24/7. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Injustice version of Superman works, because he's a Superman who just went evil, but lost Lois, killed Lois, killed his unborn child. And that story can only happen if you know Superman's been Superman for like maybe 8-10 years, like he's been doing it forever, where he's just tired. And instead of giving up, he goes full on Superman, full time, into anger, into violence, into killing, into a dictator. And that story in the game and the comic books is told well because we know what Superman is supposed to be. And this is the inverse of what he is. And he looks like the same character, but he's not. And over the course of that comic book run, you just watch him commit more and more atrocities and not face his grief in a way that's healthy. Where the only way to stop him, as you learn in the first game, is another Superman who hasn't gone through that and sees it as a cautionary tale. And that, I think, is a beautiful story because it shows, okay, if Superman were to kill somebody, this is what could happen if he keeps going with that much power, who's tired of saving these people. And he's like, they will listen to me. Like he says, you know what, we're stopping all wars today. If you don't, that's your ass. And we can only get that Superman if we see Superman at his best. And I'm excited to see this new superhero movie showing Superman at his best. Now, Superman and Lois is a good show that I think allows Superman to also finally grow up. And I'm a fan of all media where our superheroes and figures that have been a staple of our world in media to grow up with us, adjust to the times, much how James Bond does. I think our mainstream heroes should do the same. Because the world isn't the 1950s or the 1960s where people thought, especially in America, that, oh, things are great, but it's not great for everyone. No. And stories need to evolve for that. And Superman and Lois is a prime example of like, okay, what happens when you give Superman teenage sons? He's still Superman. He's still a dad who, you know, has to figure out how to raise kids and work his full-time job as Superman. And the show goes to great length, which is appreciated, of showing him struggling with that. Even when his kids, spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it, develop powers of their own. And there's a good scene in the show where he talks to his sons and says, look, when I was starting out, it was just me. I didn't have anyone but Jor-El and holograms and stuff, but you two have each other. And that is amazing. And I also love how in the show, it shows him like just being a cheesy dad too, want to take his kids to wrestling because he enjoys it. Because one, Superman was raised in Kansas. He's a regular guy who just so happens to have superpowers. And I think when Superman is written like that, it humanizes him. Because yes, it's not lost on him that he's a superhero. it's not lost on him that he's the last son of Krypton. But over time, that pain can't be the only thing that defines you. Then you become Batman. And then you become Batman. Batman is a character whose pain keeps defining him, who adopts all these surrogate children into his Bat family, but still can't feel close to them because of his psychological disconnect, because of his grief. But another great example is Batman Mask of the Phantasm, where he's at his parents' grave and he's saying like, yo, the pain of your loss doesn't hurt as much anymore. I just want to be happy. And I think that's just another perfect scene that illustrates who and what Batman is and can be. And him on the verging of like talking about growing up things. The same reason where I think Batman and Superman, you know, grow up by giving them children. It's the same reason I think Spider-Man needs to grow up on screen. We need to see him again, not just in high school, but in college. The Spider-Man I grew up on, the animated series, he was in college when the show starts. He had a job. He wasn't this teenage kid. And that influenced me a lot. It wasn't until recently, well, I wouldn't say recently, that I start seeing these Superman or Spider-Man stories where we got to keep having them in high school. And to me, it's kind of weird. Like, high school is not the only place where you feel awkward and out of place in life. And it's kind of funny that the writers writing these stories are in their 30s and 40s and haven't been in high school in a long time, and they still look back at that time. We all know what it's like to work a job and feel awkward, to go to a party or go to college or date and still feel awkward well into your 40s, 50s, and 60s. It doesn't change. So, but yeah, I just wanted to come out and talk about that. I'm gonna get skating again. It's hot out here. But these are just my quick thoughts on that popped in my head while I was out here. I'll chat with you fine people later.